What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back once again. JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are here for another edition of the Conscious Approach video series on YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. Uh, we had a pretty good week on the channel. A lot of people like to, decide whether Sexy Red is emasculating black men or not, apparently. But it was a pretty hot video, pretty interesting stuff. So thanks to everybody who watched that video, in addition to all the other videos that we publish on this channel. And before we go ahead and get things kicked off, go ahead and do your boys a solid and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, join the tribe. In advance, we appreciate your support and we appreciate your viewership because those things are currency these days. So we try to crank out this good content each and every week, and we thank everybody for joining us along for the ride. Now, with that out of the way, we had to go ahead and start talking about this.
Yeah.
Lizzo is most definitely a friend of the channel. We have discussed Lizzo on this channel several times. For anybody who is unaware, Lizzo is currently being sued by ex-members of her tour, ex-employees rather, of her tour for sexual harassment and various other shenanigans. She is being alleged to have engaged in behaviors that cultivate a hostile workplace environment, among other things. But do not let me speak for it. I'll go ahead and let the media speak for it itself. So, first, we're going to go ahead and share this screen to just give a little background context for anybody who needs to be brought up to date on this situation. This is a screen share from Hot New Hip Hop. It says Lizzo sued for sexual harassment and hostile work environment by former dancers. Lizzo's fan base has come to love the 35-year-old for an abundance of reasons, namely her vocal talents, flute playing, and of course, body positivity. Can't forget that. As one of the few plus size people at the forefront of superstardom, she's received no shortage of hate throughout her career. Still, she's continued to move forward with confidence and positivity, putting her curves on display constantly. Seeing as she shows up as such a bright light online and while performing, the thought has been that Lizzo behaves the same way in real life. According to her former dancers, however, things aren't always sunshine and rainbows in the Truth Hurts hitmaker's presence. On Tuesday, which was August the 1st, NBC News revealed that three women who previously worked for Lizzo are now suing her for sexual harassment and a hostile work environment. Among the specific accusations Lizzo is facing are, quote, pressuring one dancer to touch a nude performer at an Amsterdam club and subjecting her team to what's been described as an excruciating audition after leveling false accusations of drinking while at work. In addition, the Michigan-born artist also reportedly called one dancer out for their weight gain. She later berated and fired that same person for recording a meeting because of their health condition. Documents were filed in Los Angeles Superior Court today. They also call out the captain of Lizzo's dance team, Shirlene Quigley. Allegedly, they shamed others in the group for having premarital sex while also sharing their own not safe for work fantasies. They're said to have simulated oral sex publicly and openly discussed the virginity of one of the three plaintiffs. Quote, the stunning nature of how Lizzo and her management team treated their performers seems to go against everything Lizzo stands for publicly. While privately she weight shames her dancers and demeans them in ways that are not illegal but absolutely demoralizing, attorney Ron Zambrano shared in a statement. Prior to facing this harrowing lawsuit, Lizzo was fully focused on the recent Congress UFO hearing, in which whistleblowers confirmed the existence of non-human biologics on Earth. Because, besides her shocked reaction, we've also heard from Post Malone regarding the okay, whatever. That's just random
Hey,
stuff.
I'm about to say, why they segue into that?
I don't know why they add that random crap at the end. And for one more piece of context, we are going to also kind of provide some background into Lizzo's response to this whole situation.
Okay.
So this says Lizzo responds to sexual harassment and weight shaming allegations. Lizzo is currently under fire after three of her former dancers sued her for a whole host of reasons. Overall, the allegations made against the artist are quite shocking. The dancers claim that Lizzo had pressured them to commit sexual acts while on tour. In particular, they were asked to take part in some sort of banana sex show in Amsterdam.
Ah, oh,
Additionally, some of the women were told that they were gaining weight and that if that continued, they would be kicked off the tour. Needless to say, fans are devastated by these allegations as they go against what the artist stood for. Since the allegations surfaced a couple days ago, fans have been waiting for her to respond. However, she has largely remained quiet on social media until now. On Thursday morning, Lizzo took to Twitter with her side of the story. As you can imagine, she is completely denying the allegations. Moreover, she says that she is heartbroken that people she gave an opportunity to would say these things. In fact, she claims that these dancers had behaved poorly on tour and had been warned that they could be fired. I'm devastated after hearing these fabricated claims made against me. These are sensationalized stories from people I gave opportunities to. The allegations are as unbelievable as they sound, Lizzo said. These former employees have already publicly admitted that they were told that their behavior on tour was inappropriate and unprofessional. Usually I choose to respond. Usually I choose not to respond to false allegations, but these are too outrageous not to be addressed. I'm hurt, but I will not let the good work I've done in the world be overshadowed by this. I want to thank everyone who has reached out in support to lift me up during this difficult time. The story certainly will not end here. The lawsuit continues, and we're sure the dancers will be responding to this statement soon. So there you go. Lizzo, ironically, being sued by former employees for, amongst other things, weight shaming. You cannot make this shit up. Um, so I'm gonna just let you go. What do you think about this lawsuit being levied against Lizzo and her response to the allegations?
I mean, if this was like, I mean, this is straight out of comic book, bro. Like, if this was like some type of skit on like In Living Color or something like that back in the day, everybody would have, got a good laugh. The irony of this entire situation is just mind boggling. Now, I really don't think these ladies have much of a case. I think they just, I think for sure, I think a lot of this stuff happened, but like Lizzo says, I think it's sensationalized. I do think they felt uncomfortable with their boss and her lifestyle and the lifestyle that she was trying to, push on her employees. So they didn't want to be a part of whatever she's a part of, and they felt pressured. And of course, you want to keep working because you just want to dance. And so if you want to keep your job and stuff like that and keep your security, you might feel a little obligated to. I mean, this is not like there's some union or some big board. This is one person. If she don't jive with you, why would she bring you on tour the next go round? So I'm pretty sure they did feel the pressure and the obligation, but all of it's unwritten. None of it was verbal. I really don't know if they have any hard evidence to prove any of their stuff. And, to prove a feeling, an atmosphere, to prove that is going to be kind of difficult if they're going to get, the maximum payout for whatever they're looking for. But be that as it may, I am not surprised by, I mean, you could just, what the stuff that she says constantly, the clothes that she wears, um, she's a wild person. So I already assume she's a party animal. And I seen a clip where she was talking about how she wanted to go to the Amsterdam show when they were, shooting projectile bananas out of infested boxes. And then people are supposed to eat from that. I don't understand the appeal. No pun intended. So this whole situation here, I feel like that she must be a bad person behind closed doors to these people for them to want to do this. Um, I feel like if she was more likable and she just got down like that and she didn't pressure anybody, maybe these allegations wouldn't come out. Because anytime you go on tour with any celebrity, you know they out there wilding, and I'm pretty sure the dancers or the singers are getting down too. I'm pretty sure Lizzo wanted that from these girls here, but it might be something about her that's abrasive or bullyish for them to just holler, "I don't want no mas." So this is a real strange situation. I tend to agree with the young ladies who are making these allegations. I agree with them. I feel like that those things happen, but I do feel like it's slightly sensationalized, and I don't think they're going to get paid anything. Most likely, I'm pretty sure they're just hoping for a settlement for this whole thing. How about you, man? So, are you on the side of the background dancers? How do you feel about Lizzo fat shaming uh, someone when she's obese herself? So, what's going on here?
Yeah, you can't make this shit up. I think that the truth, like many of these other type
Hmm.
situations involving these famous people where somebody alleges misconduct of some kind, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. What Lizzo is saying is probably partly true in terms of her defense, and what the dancers are saying is probably also some is true to a certain extent in terms of what they are alleging that she did. But Lizzo has always been a hostile person. She's always been. You said she's abrasive. She is. She is. That's a great word. She's abrasive. She's been hostile. Whenever people, whenever the internet came at her for wearing her see-through dresses or her little, you know, halfway up her butt skirt where you could see her whole ass at a Lakers game, she
Wow.
responded to those people with hostility. Whenever people came at her about maybe rethinking the strategy behind becoming the champion queen of body positivity because there are health things to consider with all that, she would respond on her IG lives with hostility. She's responding, she'd get on live on social media and do videos while she's on an elliptical or on the, bicycle, you know, berating people who want to contend that maybe there is a limit to championing body positivity. So she came at those people with hostility all this time. She's always responded to people who want to critique some of her decisions publicly with hostility. So it stands to reason that if she's always been hostile, then she's also probably in certain respects going to treat others within her cipher with hostility. But no one cared before because, and no one cared before, and this is where my societal observation is going to come in.
Hmm.
It was okay in the past because body positivity is perceived as on the side of righteousness. So long as you're on the side of righteousness, you can be hostile. Hostility is an acceptable form of behavior because you're being hostile for the greater good. Body positivity is for the greater good, just like gender neutrality is for the greater good. Um, being cool and okay with just encouraging your children to just select whatever gender they want. See, the next topic that we talk about is on the side of righteousness. You're fighting for the greater good. So long as you're fighting for the greater good, you can be hostile until that hostility gets perceived as contradictory, hypocrisy, because now she's being called out, amongst other things, for weight shaming, which is the sheerest form of irony with respect to Lizzo, because why would she on God's green earth ever weight shame anybody when she thus far has been one of the primary champions for body positivity in modern Western culture? So it just goes to show you that you need to take everything that these people stand for with a grain of salt. To a certain degree, a lot of these people are full of shit, herself included. Do I
Hey,
think do I think that she really cares about body positivity? Yeah, but do I think that she really wants to be the queen and the face of it the way she has allowed herself to become synonymous with? No, I don't. Because if she did, she wouldn't be publicly talking about her struggles with weight and hiring trainers and her nutritions and her diets and putting posts out there with her exercise regimen. Women who are all about that body positivity life wouldn't put that out publicly because they want to encourage people to be comfortable enough in their own skin to wear see-through dresses even though they're 300 plus pounds, when the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. The truth is probably on the Adele, Rebel Wilson level, which is, I love myself, but there's always room for improvement. Let me get into the gym and lose this weight. Lizzo allowed herself to go all the way left and say, no, I'm going to live over here in this world where I'm 300 plus pounds. And if you don't like it, too bad, because I'm going to throw it in your face, because I am going to turn this world into something in which my 300-pound self looks just as good as a woman who is the opposite of that. And you're not going to give that world that kind of a social facelift. So when you position yourself in that regard, but you're not really all the way about that life, as these allegations would make it seem is the case, you're opening yourself up to a whole can of worms. And now these former employees are suing her for, would you guess it, weight shaming. So again, do I 100% think that Lizzo is all the way some kind of charlatan? No, probably not. It's probably somewhere in the middle. And were some of these former employees perhaps engaging in shenanigans? Yeah, some of that is probably somewhere in the middle. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, as is with the majority of these cases. But the reason why this is such a hot button issue is because of what Lizzo purportedly stood for. And it just go, all of you liberal people out there who love this kind of stuff, who want to see, who you just desire to see a world in which we can just have, you know, 300 plus pound gender neutral transgender people running around and it's just all to the good. Just understand that the truth in that world that you envision is probably somewhere in the middle, and the people who you look to be your role models for this stuff aren't actually about that life all the way for real. And so, I don't know what's going to end up happening with this situation. I agree with you. I think Lizzo is probably going to end up having to give these ladies something. It probably won't be a full on payout. They should not become perpetually rich just for alleging that this chick was weight shaming them. But there's probably some sort of penance to be paid for whatever did end up taking place. So she'll probably throw them a bone here and there, and everybody goes their separate ways, and it is what it is. But this most certainly has to be a blow to the body positivity people out there who look to Lizzo to be their shimmering hope, their shiro, their champion. And I don't know where you go from here, but you're gonna have to pick a new champion, I guess.
Uh, um, I mean, the whole body positivity campaign is propaganda. So it's not gonna. It's built on a fallacy. So if there's a real champion of it, um, they're gonna be full of holes too. Because in order for it to prop itself up like feminism, it's full of shit. So with the body positivity thing, I mean, I get it in principle. That's and this is how it's propaganda, because I get it in principle, because of course be comfortable in your own skin. All right. And if you're slightly, overweight, nothing like crazy, you're a little tubby because you don't go to the gym, but everything else is okay and everything's all right. Hey man, embrace yourself. You could take your shirt off at the pool. Big deal. So that type of stuff, I don't mind that. But when they stretched it into the part where it's like, hey, even if you're, you know, 350 plus and you don't play defensive tackle, it's okay. And it's like, no, it's not okay. This is not okay. This person's not healthy. And back to that Kanye video we had covered a while ago, where he was like, she's out here promoting bad health practices. And when we were coming up, the obese epidemic was hitting our generation crazy. And so these people are adults. And these some of these people was having kids, and you know, so this is part of American culture, is to just eat, eat, eat. So as you know, Lizzo is out here just uh being whoever she is, you know, the champion for body positivity. Body positivity is for people who are obese, or you know, whatever, not strictly for that, but they co-opted it into just saying, hey, I'm comfortable being unhealthy. And if you shame me to tell me to get healthy because it hurts my feelings, this whole it hurts my feelings thing. And so that's what it all does. So it's just like, hey, please don't hurt my feelings. I look at myself in the mirror. I already know I'm big. I don't need nobody else from the outside to tell me that. No, but you do. And you're depressed. That's probably why you feel that way. So here, let me help you out. Yeah. And no. And so this whole no accountability generation thing going on, um, not really being social, you know, the in mass, there's a lot of people who are just running away from responsibilities, period. And if you are large, then you clearly see that you have a visible health issue, and that you know you got to get it under wraps if you want to live long and healthy. So this whole body positivity thing, it's built on people who don't want to change. And so for her to be doing it to somebody else, it is ironic. But the crazy part about it is that it's not ironic. I mean, it is ironic, but it's not crazy. It's not far fetched, because these people self hate. So the self hate is just projected onto somebody else, and she could probably say it was like, oh well, you know, the girls couldn't do their dance maneuvers no more because they were getting so big. So I was like, hey girl, you gonna have to lose some of this if you want to do the split on stage. You rolling over like a boiled egg. So at this point, if that's what's going on, but still there's a, you know, body positive, you can't shame her into losing that weight. She's beautiful how she is, and that split is not being executed as beautiful as it is. So let her tumble on the floor, you know. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
flute playing, it's all a farce. I don't understand this stuff. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like you said, bro, and like I said, you know, the combative, abrasive energy from this woman. You know, I don't overtly go around just not caring for people, but it was something about her that I just didn't care for, and it's her bully mentality. And so when
Mm-hmm.
I heard a story about her being allegedly a bully, well, you know, not far fetched. You know.
Yep. It's very consistent. I wasn't shocked at all because to me it was very consistent with everything else she's done before. Like I said, I think she's always been someone who has been abrasive, aggressive. She's always attacked people who counter her ideology with a lot of aggression and hostility, but no one would dare contend her for it because as a champion of body positivity, you're on the right side of history, and therefore hostility is an acceptable form of behavior so long as you are doing it in so long as you are doing it on the side of righteousness. The minute that you are no longer on the side of righteousness, that's when hostility becomes unacceptable. And that's the hypocrisy with the way that we perceive a lot of this stuff. Because if it's okay for Lizzo to be hostile because she's a champion of body positivity, then it needs to be okay for people to critique her in a hostile manner. And that's just a hypothetical scenario because in reality, most reasonable people who had something to say about Lizzo never came. It was not on some hostility stuff. It was on some, we're taking this a little bit too far because body positivity, the true mantra of it, the spirit of it, the essence of it is somewhere in the middle. It's about being comfortable and loving who you are, but the core of a human being should always be to seek self improvement. And when you relent that cause by saying, I can be this way and I am maximum improved, this is my version of self improvement being this way, then no, that doesn't fly when it comes to what body positivity should be. What body positivity is supposed to be is, this is my weight and this is my body type. I work hard at self improvement, as we all as humans should do, but I'm also not going to kill myself if I don't look necessarily like this, because this is who I am and thus I love myself. But what Lizzo did was attack people who said being over 300 pounds probably not the best thing for your personal self worth, and she attacked that with hostility. But again, the hostility is okay if we are doing body positivity, because it's one of these themes, it's one of these ideals in our present culture that you have to be on the right side of. So when you're on the right side of it, you can be aggressive and abrasive and attack things with hostility. For
Yeah.
me, seriously. So for me, this was always consistent with who she was. I was not surprised to discover that she treats employees allegedly with a certain degree of hostility. She's a hostile individual. She's a hostile person. Or at least that's what she's publicly portrayed herself to be from on a consistent enough basis. When she gets in her feelings enough, she attacks the haters with tremendous hostility. That's what she's always done. Hey,
Hmm.
hey, man, I don't want to see you. I don't want to see that at a Lakers game. Like, I don't want to
No,
see your
man.
whole ass like that at a Lakers game. I just,
That's
I'm sorry, but I do not want to see that. Okay. And I am well within my right to comment in that way on the internet if you're going to post a pic or a video of you wearing that outfit on your own page. If you don't want to court the attention, don't post it on your social channels. But you courted the attention by posting it on your social channels. People, therefore, are going to critique it. You attacking them in a hostile manner makes you just as bad as the people who you think are treating you in a hostile manner for dressing that way in the first place. So if you don't want to incur that kind of treatment, don't put it out on social. Just live your life and be a private person. But you're an attention seeker and you can't help yourself. And you have completely dug yourself into the sand on these ideologies that you supposedly stick up for, that you have to put it out on your social channels, that you have to. And when you do that, now you're looking at a situation where you look like a fool now. You look like a complete and utter hypocrite if these allegations are correct. Because how dare Lizzo weight shame another individual? I don't care if she's paying them or not. What grounds does she have to do that? See, it's not the fact that these people couldn't perform the dance moves and they were getting called out. And I know you don't know that for a fact. You're just
right.
painting a hypothetical, but it's a reasonable conclusion to surmise. Like, the more weight you gain, the harder it is to frolic on a dance floor doing the dance moves and all of this kind of stuff. So another person who's kind of in charge of the choreography or some other high ranking person on the staff calling these individuals out is one thing. It just can't be Lizzo. It can't be you, Lizzo, because of everything that you stand for. So there's all kinds of ways to look at this. There's a hypocrisy angle. There's the ideology of weight shaming angle. And then there is, as you put it, the foundation of body shaming upon which that whole entire thing is rooted in fallaciousness. So people need to understand that. But for Lizzo, I say, hey, you made your bed, sleep in it. You wanted to be the body positivity queen. And so that's what makes these allegations all the more heinous, because part of it is people saying that you weight shame them. And you have no one to blame for that but yourself. But people out here in these streets, y'all need to stop hitching y'all wagons to these celebrities and these famous people. The vast majority of them are full of shit. Okay? Please understand this. They don't live by what they preach to you publicly. They're full of shit. And a lot of them are controlled by vested interests like movie studios, record labels, lawyers, and publicists, and anybody else who basically just creates these avatars of human beings, and these people cease to become real human beings in the first they cease to become real human beings, and they just become these caricatures. This is what I portray to people publicly, but in real life they're not about that stuff. They're not. So that's the biggest takeaway that I have from all of that.
Yeah. And for this whole thing, uh, the body positivity situation, much like other movements, if you will. It's always got a noble cause to it. That's the reason why you like it, but it's always co-opted by opportunists who are looking to get away with something. And so when you have this whole body positivity thing being pushed, so heavily, um, and for one of its champions to get called out for it, I feel like it's poetic justice, and I feel like the universe was calling some things in order, just to shine light on the lies that go on behind closed doors. And like you said, man, these figureheads that be championing something, most if not all of them, full of shit. And so for her to be directly being accused, well, not directly, I don't know what it is, but just for this to be coming out on her, yeah, man, I just feel like this needs to be happening for the masses to see. So I'm here for it. Most likely she's gonna get off, and like you said, the truth is somewhere in the middle. After hearing those girls speak, some of that stuff is like, girl, yeah, good luck,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
good luck.
Yeah.
But smearing her name, they done did that, and so now people
Yeah.
gonna run with this garbage forever. So long
Right.
as her name is out there, people, her detractors are always gonna bring this up. Maybe myself, you know. But it's kind of like they don't let OJ live, and OJ been catching stray bullets ever since he dropped that glove. So everybody they gonna bring up allegations, Bill Cosby, everybody, they're not gonna
Mhm.
let you slide. So Lizzo, from here on out, people gonna be watching her to see if she's really gonna be practicing what she's preaching, or if the queen of body positivity actually go and loses weight. And then, what are you gonna tell to all of those people that you tell to keep gorging on food? Last little thing I'm about to say is that I've seen videos, TikTok compilations of body positivity people, influencers that were obese and encouraging people to keep eating and they're beautiful and stuff like that. And then some of these people turning around after they done made a whole bunch of money from donations and stuff, turning around and getting surgery. You know, I just saw a video the other day where this vegan woman, this extreme vegan woman, starved herself to death. You know, And so, but she was an influencer and she had people and she's sitting there telling these people what to do and she's an influencer. And so all of these people out here with their own, by the way, that extreme vegan woman, she was drinking nothing but juice and never water. She never drank water. It's like, what are you doing? That's so stupid. So, but be that as it may, there's people out here preaching this gospel of not being accountable, do whatever you want, whatever. And I just think it's natural selection at the end of the day. And so you're gonna have to, the writing's on the wall. You get enough warnings. Some people do turn, but if people want to keep following the blind, hey man, it's only so much you can do. So this Lizzo situation, have at it, sister, but most likely she's gonna get off and pay some type of settlement.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
That's rough, man. You have to imagine in her heart of hearts, she has to be somebody who wants to maximize herself. She wants to self improve, but there's probably some side of her and there's probably some element of her team who's telling her to be careful how much you self improve because look at where you've positioned yourself as the champion of this mantra, which basically encourages people, as you put it, to not be accountable for self improvement. That's what I think it is. And
Mm-hmm.
it's unfortunate. So it'll be interesting to see how this situation plays out. But I think it's an important lesson to take away for everybody who sees this video or is just following along with the situation in general. These figureheads are full of poo poo. Most of them are not really on this stuff. All right. They're not. So just, keep that in mind.
Yeah, man, grain of salt with these people, man.
Yeah,
Grain of salt.
seriously.
Sheesh. Those.
All right, Neo has dug himself in the sand. Neo,
Ah,
Neo recently made comments on Vlad TV about his thoughts on children, being gender fluid or deciding that they want to be a different gender, and Neo's comments on that are essentially, as a parent, it's your responsibility to be a parent and not have your child make that decision autonomously. And he's caught a lot of flack for that. People are calling him a hater. They're saying that he hates the LGBTQ community and that he's essentially a bigot
bigot.
is what yeah. Essentially Neo is being called out for bigotry, hatred towards LGBTQIXYNZ community because he believes that parents should play a role in their children's decision to change genders. So crazy notion, right? But we'll go ahead and let Neo speak for himself. First of all, Neo formally apologized for the hot take. And so that'll be the first thing that we talk about. This says here Neo formally apologizes. Neo formally apologizes for transgender children hot take. On the internet, hearing hot takes isn't at all uncommon, but when they come from a celebrity, a debate often ensues immediately. The latest star to cause a stir with their words is Neo, who shared during an interview with Vlad TV that he's not in support of underage people changing their gender. I feel like parents have almost forgotten what the role of a parent is, the So Sick singer said at the time. If your little boy comes to you and says, Daddy, I want to be a girl, you just going to let him rock with that? When did it become a good idea to let a 12-year-old make a life changing decision for themselves? When backlash for those comments came rolling in, Neil doubled down on his statements, making it clear that he isn't anti trans. Unfortunately, that response only brought in more turmoil, resulting in the R&B icon sharing another message with fans, this time via Twitter. After much reflection, I'd like to express my deepest apologies to anyone that I may have hurt with my comments on parenting and gender identity. He began, I've always been an advocate for love and inclusivity in the LGBTQI plus community, so I understand how my comments could have been interpreted as insensitive. So there is the post there. Neo then went on to admit that gender identity is nuanced and he plans to better educate himself on the topic so he can approach future conversations with more empathy. The 43-year-old wrapped up by writing, At the end of the day, I lead with love and support everyone's freedom of expression and pursuit of happiness. He may not have been fully on board with children making the decision to transition, but one thing Neo is progressive enough for is spending time with two women at once, blah, 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 blah. I don't know why Hot New Hip Hop does that.
I think they have
Um,
like a word quota.
I
It's
don't
just
know why they do that.
it's just like when you
So
just
yeah. So after that, though, Neo issued his own statement,
no.
and he's seemingly digging in, and he is not apologizing for his opinion on it. So we'll go ahead and play this video to kind of see what Neo had to say here, and then we will go ahead and of course opine on his thoughts after we have watched the video.
What's going on, loved ones? This is Neo. All right, listen. I normally don't give too much of a damn about what y'all think about what I do, what y'all have to say about what I say, whatever. I normally don't care because, like I said, opinions ain't special. Everybody got one. However, this is something I feel very strongly on, and I need y'all to hear this from the horse's mouth, not the publicist's computer. So check this out. First and foremost, I do not apologize for having an opinion on this matter. I am a 43-year-old heterosexual man raising 5 boys and 2 girls. Okay, that's my reality. Now, if my opinion offended somebody, yeah, sure, I apologize for you being offended because that wasn't my intention. My intention is never to offend anybody. However, I'm entitled to feel how I feel. I'm absolutely entitled to feel how I feel the same way You are entitled to feel how you feel. I ain't asked nobody to follow me. I ain't asked nobody to agree with me. I was asked a question and I answered the damn question. Okay. I have no beef with the LBGTQIA plus community whatsoever. I ain't got no beef with y'all. Do whatever the hell it is you want to do. Do what you want to do with your kids. However, somebody asked my opinion on this matter, and this is how I feel. I will never be okay with allowing a child to make a decision that detrimental to their life. I will never be okay with that. I don't care. I definitely plan to educate myself a little bit more on this matter. However, I doubt that there's any book
What the hell
anywhere
does that mean?
opinion that somebody's gonna tell me that's gonna make me okay with letting a child make a decision like that. That's just period point blank, and that's how I feel. If I get canceled for this, then you know what? Maybe this is a world where they don't need a Neo no more. All right. And I got no problem with that. I'm a hustler. All right. I'll figure it out. I got kids to raise, and I'm gonna do that regardless. So, with that being said, y'all have a good day. I love everybody. Live how you want to live, love how you want to love, but your opinion is yours. Speak your opinion as much as you damn well feel like it. Because as I said, they're not important, they're not special. Everybody got one, and you're entitled to it. I'm entitled to mine. All right. Y'all feel how y'all want to feel. Have a great day. It's Neo. Peace and love.
When my old lady accused me of some stuff, just using saying the wrong, because I always say the wrong thing. I'm gonna just say I'm gonna just educate myself more on the matter.
I'm glad you found that funny the way I did, because that's what I started laughing, is when he said I was with him except for that part.
So
I
you
don't know
think
why
me?
he said.
So you think you gonna slip that by the goalie, bro? So you gonna sit here and talk all that stuff like you 10 toes down and then take a toe off? I saw it, bro. Now you got 9 toes. Unbelievable. But hey, man,
That's exactly when he said that. I couldn't hold my laughter in, because it's like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, what do you mean you're definitely going to educate yourself? Either this is your opinion or it's not.
Hey, man,
But
you gotta
he's trying to dig himself into the sand, but he's still trying to do as much collateral. He's trying. It's weird. It's like you're trying to stand on your ground, but also trying to minimize collateral damage, bro. Hey, look. Stand on what you believe, and who gives, be like Chappelle don't care about no collateral damage. So hey, take on the collateral damage. But what did you think about that?
Hey, man, listen, I'm gonna just stick with this. So it's kind of like, when we talk about LeBron and stuff, and we say like he's presidential and stuff, there's so many people watching, admiring, hanging on every word that he says. They're on his Twitter. They watch his press conferences. You know what I'm saying? So everything that comes out of this person's mouth is going to be broken down because they're so famous and well known. So for Neo, and that being famous and well known is directly correlated to a bag, sponsorships and things like that. So you can't say how you really feel. And so Neo said how he really felt, but then he had to give the corporate, hey, man, I still got a job, guys. So when you're watching celebrities, they're constantly on the clock. All right. You think they getting paid while they sleep? Oh, okay. They still working while they sleep. Because when they sleep in the wrong bed, somebody could take a picture and now you got exposed and now you out of job, or you know what I'm saying? So these people are constantly under microscope, constantly at work. So I do appreciate him trying to be as real as he can in that situation, but he had to give us a hint of bullshit for the corporate interests out there. So I'll give him a slide, because I done said some real corporate shit on my job before. So I'll give him that. But I appreciate what he said here. It needed to be said from a voice like Neo. All right. I'm pretty sure he has a lot of fans in that community. I'm pretty sure they go to his shows regularly, buy his albums, and are fans of his stuff. He's got a few anthems, all right, that I'm sure that plays in those nightclubs. So, you don't want to turn your back on that community. However, there's still a standard of raising a child that America needs to really I feel like there's enough people out there that's trying to protect the children from this onslaught that seems to be going on against them. So we need people like Neo on the forefront. Even though aesthetically, I would have been like, this guy's a liberal all day. I figured he'd be on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne and DJ Envy, chuckling it up. You know what I'm saying about this topic and saying, yeah, I'm all about hormone replacement. Now I won't do that for my kids, but if your child wants to, I would assume that this is where he was at. So for him to actually say that, then double down and say, hey, nah, I meant what I said, and that's how I feel about it. Kudos to him. I applaud him. And I think more celebrities that actually do feel this way do need to unmute. But and I guess we'll get into this later. But there's people that always felt like this though, that are co-opting a genuine movement so they can do whatever the hell they want. And then now they're pushing their stuff, against the will of the people that naturally were in that movement in the first place, that just wanted to not get ridiculed and slurred just for something that they feel like they can't help. So now these people are here coming over here co-opting the entire situation just so they can get their fantasies in. All right. So how about you, man? This is a touchy dynamic. We don't want to get canceled here at the Conscious Approach. But how do you feel about this, man? Do you feel like Neo is right here, or do you think he needs to come off of it a little bit and allow those kids to take those hormone replacements?
I think that there's a lot of people who feel the way Neo feels, but yeah, you just can't compromise the bag by being honest. And that's the sad part about this world that we live in, is that it's just built on lies and disingenuousness. In addition to, as you put it in the last video that we did last week, it's built on scammers and what did you say? You said it's built on scammers and crime syndicates or something like that. But yeah, like I appreciate Neil's comments, and I think that they are spot on, except for that little retraction that he threw. He just he sandwiched that in there. Oh, I'm gonna educate myself, and it's just like, nah, man, you was hot before you said that. Like you were good before you did that. And then he put that in there because he's trying to nevertheless minimize the collateral damage. But I get it. He's still a celebrity. He's still a working celebrity. He's still a working person in the entertainment industry and in Hollywood. So you've got to try and curtail some of your rhetoric so as to not totally alienate crazy people, as far as I can tell. But the spirit of his message to me is 100% spot on. I agree with the spirit of what he said. My whole thing with this has been pretty consistent in that, and this somewhat relates to the last topic that we discussed and some of my talking points therein, is we've created this environment where there is a hardened right and wrong side. So to have this opinion means you're right, and to have this opinion means that you're wrong. And when it comes to this particular topic, if you have the opinion that you have a preference for your children to not be gender fluid or change their genders, it means you're wrong. That's what this has become. So what I have always said is, if Neo were to go on to CNN, MSNBC, or BBC, or you couldn't say this on Fox because they wouldn't have it on Fox. But let's say Neo was on CNN or MSNBC or BBC or one of these other news media channels, right? TV One, Revolt, or those other channels like that. And they were discussing this topic, or somehow it came up during the interview. And the person who was interviewing Neo was like, how do you feel about your children wanting to decide what gender they want to be? If Neo were to answer that question by saying, I would be cool with my kids choosing their own gender. I would be okay with that. I would welcome my children deciding to change the gender and be a different sex other than the sex that they were assigned at birth. He would be heralded as a hero for having that take. People would be championing him. They would clap for him. They would be in the streets talking about how brave he is, how much of a hero Nero, how much of a hero, how much of a modern day Renaissance man Neo is, because he wants his children to choose whatever gender they want. Now, conversely, if Neo goes onto those same news networks and gets asked the same question, and he responds by saying, no disrespect to anybody who's, no disrespect to anyone, because I'm not at my core someone who has hate in his heart. But in terms of my personal ideology when it comes to family values, I personally have a preference for rearing my children in such a way that they identify with the sex in which they were born. I would prefer it if I did not have children who were gender fluid or who chose to be transgender. If he had that take, he would get destroyed for that. He would get absolutely destroyed. And there's nothing unreasonable about having that personal preference. But if you express that preference publicly, you will get destroyed. His career might be over. He's definitely going to get canceled in the liberal space. And my point with that has always been, hey, listen, at the most, these points of view are disagreeable. You don't have to agree with Neo, who wants to raise his son to be a man. If you don't agree with that, let him raise his family the way he wants, and he ain't bothering you. You raise your family the way you want, and y'all can meet in the middle. Neo ain't throwing stones at your house. He ain't trying to throw you in the gallows. He ain't trying to put you in the gulag because you want your kids to be transgender. So if he doesn't, who cares? It's a disagreeable point of view at the most. It's a difference of preference when it comes to family values. But for a lot of these people, that's unacceptable. They cannot accept that. You have to be someone who is willing to publicly state that you're okay with doing this. And that is, I think, is what is at the heart of detractors of this whole thing, like me and you. Because like the previous thing, body positivity, hey, look, this is something that you can't help. Something happened, you want to change your sex, you're of age, where you're of a maturity level that allows you with the ability to be able to make this decision. And for all intents and purposes, even though you aren't legally self-actualized, you are of an age where nobody can sort of be like, hey, you can't make this choice. Go ahead and do what you got to do. That's one thing. But for a lot of the segment of this population who is trying to encourage kids to welcome the idea that you can just change your gender or be fluid, that's where the rubber meets the road for people who want to criticize this kind of ideology. It's dangerous rhetoric. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with an individual like Neil saying, I have my preference when it comes to family values. If my underage child, whose brain is still developing, came to me and said, I want to change my sex, I am going to interject myself into that situation as a responsible parent and prohibit it. He's well within his right to do that. Leave him the hell alone. So I think that's what he was trying to get across with saying, hey, this is my opinion. If you don't like it, so be it. I don't care. You do what you want with your own family, and we'll let bygones be bygones. We mentioned this in a previous video, but the woman who played DJ, I think, on Full House, Candace Cameron, somebody fact check me on that. I think that was her character on Full House. The oldest daughter, DJ. She's a grown heterosexual woman raising kids in a heterosexual context. And she went out publicly saying, I am in a partnership with Hallmark Channel to create content and programming that is geared towards heterosexual marriages and families. I want to create the type of programming that is tailored towards people who are in heterosexual marriages and families, specifically heterosexual marriages and families within a Christian context. Because I, shocker, was raised as a Christian. Now, if you don't agree with that, fine. Not everybody's a Christian, and no one's saying that everybody's supposed to be Christian. But she was called a bigot because she said, I want to create that kind of programming. Where are we at with this kind of stuff? This is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. She was called a bigot merely because she says she wants to create programming that tailors towards heterosexual marriages and families. And that's bigotry. So very much like body positivity and certain facets of the racial conversation, these conversations have been co-opted by a fanatical extreme element that wants to see a world descend into a state of social anarchy in which people are just choosing genders, choosing sexes, and doing it as a fashionable vogue statement instead of it being something that is at your core as a human being because it's something that you simply cannot help because that's truly who you are. They just want people out here willy nilly doing whatever the hell they want. So, like, I appreciate Neil for saying, "Hey, this is my opinion, and if you don't like it, cancel me." I guess. And on another note, Cos's approach for anyone who is unaware, I've already canceled this channel. So you can't cancel what's already been canceled. So nobody is gonna come over here talking about cancel these dudes because they're crazy and they're bigots. Hey, listen, I've already canceled myself. Conscious approach is already canceled. So you can do with that what you will. But for Neo's statements, outside of that whole I'm gonna educate myself, because that just looked like a whole walking back diatribe. Like, I appreciate his sentiments because at the very most, these are disagreeable points of view. And what has been lost in this social dialogue is the ability to understand that there are disagreeable points of view. And that's pretty much it. So kudos to Neo for the comments outside of that one part that I didn't like. And to hell with everybody else who wants to now say that he's a hater just because he has his own preferences when it comes to family values.
Yeah, it's utter lunacy. What's going on? The ideologies that's being promoted um, in public school systems, higher institutions, every television program, from blocks and colors all the way up to TVMA shows on Netflix. This is happening everywhere. And you know, what are these young people, what are these young people supposed to do when they're being told that they're trans, or they're possibly trans, or trans is an option? I've seen stuff where they're allowing kids to identify as damn near anything. And right now, see, we haven't seen it yet.
Right.
All right. So our generation ain't even getting Social Security. But let's imagine our generation gets some form of the new age Social Security. Well, we got to stand in some kind of line or something, get serviced. And I have to go to the young people of the world that are now the leaders and, the employees of wherever. Hey, young man. Hey, young man, I don't know how to work these new phones. And this guy who identified as a tiger since he was 7, and people played into that. So now, with his, tiger paint at work, installed whiskers, and he's, I'm like, I'm like, excuse me, son, I don't know how to use this app. And I'm like, what? What am I supposed to do? This is the generation of people that's supposed to take care of us? Yeah, bro. We're screwed, bro. We're screwed. So look, we already seen the impact of the mind control that was going on a generation up under us. We already see what happened with them now. And so we can only imagine what these people that are allowed to identify as anything decide to do with their energy and their mind. How they decide, how that develops into being an adult who is literally out of his mind. So for this whole dynamic to be pushed throughout whatever's going on, hey, all these how to raise your kid techniques that ain't got nothing to do with strict discipline, all of these things of, stand in the corner, count to 10 jive that they've been promoting and pushing since we were coming up. Now it's full form, you know. Now all of these kids are growing up tissue soft, you know, because of being coddled and stuff like that, you know. Uh, they don't respect any authority due to all of this stuff that they're pushing and pushing and pushing on the youth. And so right now, this youth, the youth is under full-fledged attack. Any viewers, if you got children, I'm pretty sure you already see it happening on every corner. You know what I'm saying? Power, more power to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm wishing the best for y'all. You know, and Neo, a man who's got 5 kids himself, he says, or whatever. Um, yeah, he understands the importance of raising your seed, and if the fruit don't fall too far from the tree, he's entitled to raise his children however the hell he wants to. So but yeah, man, the madness of coming to a child who doesn't even know anything. I mean, don't even know anything, and asking them, do they want to wear a dress? Of course they're going to say, yeah. They don't know anything, man. And to me, you can't go around bullying impressionable minors about anything sexual. And for the parents that are doing that to their biological children, the parents that takes their biological children to drag shows and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on with them, but they had kids for a particular reason. And you can't allow these outliers to dictate what the rest of society is doing. So, Neo, I'm here with you, bro. I might have to educate myself more on the matter of whatever the hell you said, but I agree with most of your statements, sir. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't know where we've gone with this, where it's like we completely want to disregard the context in which somebody lived. And there's a line of demarcation between what's reasonable and what's not. So, yes, let's all be reasonable and intelligent human beings. Just because you were raised within a racist context doesn't make it okay or excusable for you to be a racist into adulthood,
Right.
right? That is not subjective. That is an objective thing to say. We all understand that line of demarcation. We know what's reasonable and what is not. But things like sexual preferences, gender identity, family values, these are all nuanced issues that are rooted in all sorts of different forms of psychosis, child rearing, um, socialization, education, all of this kind of stuff. As he said, there's no book out there that's going to tell you doing this is what's best for your child's upbringing. So stop trying to disregard people's context. An individual who was born within a heterosexual context as an adult is probably going to lean towards raising their own children the same way. If they have a preference for that, there's nothing bigoted or hateful about it. But that's where we've gone with this, where we want to disregard the context in which people were reared within a reasonable sense and leap to the conclusion that if you're not okay with this in terms of your worldview, it means that there's something in you that needs to be corrected. There's nothing
Right.
that needs to be corrected about that. It's a personal preference. We
Well,
all have the ways that we feel about family values. This shit is ridiculous. And it's scary too. What they're trying to do in the school systems and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't have children of my own, and I've always said that I would at some point. And my plan of action in terms of how to sidestep all of this madness, I'm gonna be real. I have not come up with that plan yet. I don't know what my strategy looks like, but it's unfortunate and it's frightening to see where this situation has devolved to, where people who have those differing points of view are being outed for being hateful or being anti, not being an ally. Hey, look, raise your family the way you want. I'll raise my family the way that I want, and we'll call a spade a spade. It is what it is. But that apparently just isn't a good enough for some of these extremists who are living out here amongst us. And I do agree that those extremists represent the minority of the population. I've always
Absolutely.
believed that the majority of the population are reasonable people who are just
Exactly.
trying to live life and do the best they can. Ain't
Exactly.
nobody tripping off of this shit. But these
Exactly.
extremists are the loudest people. They're the loudest, and they're the ones who are on the internet the most because they got all the time in the world. They don't got kids of their own, so they want to tell you how to raise your children. It's the most ironic shit in the world. People who have families, people who are in that middle ground, who are reasonable, don't have all of this time to sit out here electronically picketing on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter because they're too busy taking their kids to soccer practice or doing laundry or going to work or going to church or going to the grocery store or planning vacations or going to the gym or taking their daughter to the next recital or whatever the hell. They're too busy living life to sit here doing all of this stuff, engaging in all of this social anarchy hyperbole. So these extremists are left to be the loudest on the internet, screaming to the mountaintop that all of these bigots out here need to be outed for their bigotry.
And it's
And you know that groundswell of that loudness on the internet, the vocal minority, creates this idea that that is the majority of the people in their mindset when it's not. The majority of the people are reasonable and just want to be left to their own devices to do whatever they want. And if they so happen to express their opinions, here come these extremists who want to call them a bigot or call them hateful. How dare you want to create programming for heterosexual people? To that extent, how dare you even want to be heterosexual? And it's like, hey man, listen, do what you do, and I'll do what I do. We all got enough space on this earth to live, so let's just make it work the best we can. It's as simple as that. So I don't know. I find a lot of this stuff to be deeply disturbing. I'm glad that he didn't all out apologize for his opinion. I just wish that he didn't throw that mulligan in there about educating himself because he's good where he's at, bro. You are entitled to have the preferences that you have when it comes to how you want to raise your family. It's your family. And that's it.
hey man, just educate yourself more on the matter, man. And maybe you'll understand why he had to say that. So
Yeah. I understand. I just don't like it. I don't like it. It's ridiculous.
and
This is crazy, bro.
I think it's this is my last thing. I think it's the loud minority for sure, and also these large entities that change their logos in a certain month that push these things. And so because they're the ones that control these media outlets and double down and are quick to cancel. Now, it's one thing if people on Twitter are mad at you, but people get mad at people on Twitter all day. But it's when the outlets grab a headline or grab the tweet or grab the X and decide to drag this person's name through the mud for their opinion. So there's a lot of things at play, and there seems to be an interest to push this on everybody, because it's on our TV shows, it's on everything. So it's more than just the Twitter bangers, you know. I think there's also these something else going on too. So I mean, hey, thanks Neo. Thanks Neo. That was a funny bar you dropped in there, man. But I hear you loud and clear, and that took a lot. So I appreciate him, man. And these people be having a lot on the line, bro. You know,
Yeah.
some people will stop going to his shows over this.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so people feel that deeply about these types of things. So he's risking his bag. And nowadays, man, the way things is going, celebrity or not, multimillionaire or not, everybody's got a lifestyle that they've gotten accustomed to over the last decade or so. And those things are in jeopardy, man. And so I'm right now, I sympathize with everybody that's going through these things. Hey man, I ain't trying to lose my bag. And it's like,
Yeah.
hey man, it's a Neo, don't lose your bag over this.
Yeah.
getting tripped up on a DJ Vlad question. Hey, should have known better, man. You should have known.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say, the corporations in the entertainment industry, they're doing it because it's inclusive. It's inclusive. It's
Oh,
inclusivity. You know,
that
that's
is the most
that's what
trigger
that's all
word.
about, man. That's what that's all about. It's about being inclusive. And who in their right minds that would ever argue with anyone who is trying to be inclusive?
My
So
goodness,
what are you gonna do?
bro.
Yeah,
People gonna look back on us, bro. I mean, they're gonna look back on this generation and go, those people were idiots." And it's just
we'll
like,
see.
man, nah, man, hey, not all of us, man,
Yeah.
not all of
We'll
us.
we'll see. We'll see. But for now, the idiots are winning. I'll say that much. Oh God.
That's for sure. You,
Lastly, we are going to touch on Meek Mill. Meek Mill appears to have graduated to a point in his life in which he is an enlightened individual.
oh,
He very much like people who are doing actual positive things in the world. People like, I often spotlight people like Maya Moore. Maya Moore, I've said on this channel before, I admire Maya Moore because she essentially retired from the WNBA while she was still in her prime to become an advocate for changing legislation that inordinately targets black and brown people for the prison industrial complex. That's an actual tangible thing that's going on in the streets, and she's a part of that. Not the rest of these celebrities who just gas bag on social media all day, but aren't actually doing shit. Meek Mill as well. He's a rapper, and we talk about these rappers and this rap music on this channel often as well. He's had his fair share of gun and drug and violence bars throughout his music, but he seems to have at least gone in the direction of turning over a new leaf. He, as well as a part of enacting legislation, very much in the same vein as Maya Moore, of trying to overturn certain things that have been longstanding in the American laws that inordinately target black and brown people for the prison industrial complex. He makes public appearances often and lends his voice to certain initiatives and things of that nature. So Meek Mill is out here doing positive things in the streets, I'd say. I'll give him credit for that. And he recently touched on how the music industry pays rappers more to be ignorant, to sound ignorant, to make ignorant music. So we thought that this was interesting sound. We'll go ahead and provide some context first, and then we will, of course, provide our opinions afterward. But this article says Meek Mill says rappers are paid more to sound ignorant. Meek Mill has long been an advocate for progressive social change and criminal justice reform. Over the weekend, he teamed up with the governor of Illinois to pass a new piece of legislation aimed at reform. The law targeted non criminal technicalities that can cause those on parole to be returned to prison without committing any additional crimes. Meek spoke glowingly of the opportunity to contribute to such significant progress. That's a milestone in my life. When I started making music, I was just trying to get out of the ghetto and my environment. But to be a part of something that changes bills and laws that actually affect me and my people, it's my legacy, the rapper said. So I'm going to skip all the way down here and I'm just going to play the sound because that's really the meat of all of this and what we want to talk about.
yeah, they might start talking about aliens or some shit.
People like Robert, myself, he opened doors for me to be on stages like this because before I wasn't on stages like this. I was on rap stages rapping about, violence and guns. That we get paid to rap about that stuff. They actually pay us more when we rap about more ignorant stuff. So I make sure I even align and come on talk on stages like this. But you guys, the NAACP open up doors for people like me to be able to power forward because the things that fund us that don't power me forward. I just make sure because I know better and I'm at an age point. I'm 36. They power us really went from when we 21 to 25, where we really don't know. I'm one of the lucky ones that made it through where I was able to get my knowledge and sense, and I'm the one that keep the line on the rap ignorance and be able to level out conversations like these and deliver it to the young people who may not attend things like this.
Okay, so yeah, he was at an NCAA. He was at some sort of NAACP event talking about some of the things that he has going on. So no need to read the rest of that article. That's pretty much all that we need there. So there you have it, Meek Mill, MMG, superstar, formerly dated Nicki Minaj, all of that good stuff. Meek Mill seems to be an enlightened individual. What did you think about those comments?
It's good to hear, coming from somebody who, you know, used to do murder and drug bars all the time. So for him to uh, do something to balance that out, to give back in a helpful way, it's noble of him. And just because you have a record in life don't mean you can't change. So hopefully, he's changing in the right direction and putting his energy that he put in all that street stuff and all that street talk into actually building and developing something, for his own legacy, as he says. But if it's for his own legacy, he's also helping a lot of people in return. So if that's where he's at in his life and in that stage, kudos for him. And I applaud that. Um, Now, here's the other side of it. Now, when it comes to these types of things, hopefully this it's all, hopefully it's all on up and up. And he actually goes through with something that's actually something. And he's not used as some type of Jesse Jackson modern, a paid puppet that goes around and says, "Hey, I'm here for reform for y'all." You know what I'm saying? And then he just busts a move, and then everybody goes, "Oh, hold up, wait a minute, y'all thought I was finished." And Meek Mill, "Oh," and then yeah, and then everybody forgot what the hell they came here for. It's like, hello, disproportionate rates. So hopefully he's actually doing some real reform, and this is not some type of show. Yeah, that's how I feel about it initially. How do you feel about these? Meek Mill, I guess turning a new leaf in life.
I'm cool with it. If I'm willing to grant an individual like Andrew Tate a bit of levity and allow him to try and steer some of our wayward men from the path of um, decadence, and get him out of the sexual get him out of the sexual marketplace, even though he used to be a dealer in the sexual marketplace, then I can grant Meek Mill, who, in my opinion, is at the very least as much, if not a little less, of a perpetrator within that context, some benefit of the doubt, given his current rhetoric, even though he used to deal in murder, death, kill when it comes to his music and all of the drug and gun bars and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm willing to grant him that levity and say that he's well within his right to continue on that righteous cause currently. I just hope that when he drops his next album, I don't listen to it and it's like more drug and gun bars. That's my
Come on,
only
whoa,
thing.
whoa, 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 whoa.
I mean, you just can't do it, bro. You can't do it. Like you can't
They
pal
pay him
around with
more.
Rob.
You heard it. Just they pay him more, so you got to do this part to balance it out.
Nah, man. I can't. Well, if that's the case, then I'll be right back here on this channel to call him out for being full of shit. Because you can't I can't get down with that. Like I can't. Like somebody and there's precedent for this. There's all of these rappers who are doing good things in the streets and putting money and resources into certain avenues that help disenfranchise people.
Right.
And then they get into the booth and it's like more drug and gun bars.
That's wild.
I understand it. It's just I can't. There's a disconnect. So for me, it's a situation where I just take my brain to a place where it's like I don't believe you. Good. It's good that you're doing good, positive things with your money and resources to help people. But when you put this music out, I just don't believe you, and I think that you're a liar. Because how can you be somebody who is okay with this? Something in your soul cannot live with the fact that you are trying to help your people, but then at the same time, you're getting into the studio and you're creating more poison. Now, Meek hasn't crossed that bridge yet. We'll see what happens with him musically moving forward. And that doesn't mean that he has to make lukewarm, bad music. It just means that he has to figure out a way to be different with his creativity. He seems like a smart enough guy to figure something like that out. I have confidence in his ability to figure that out. But I think that what he is lending his voice to currently is pretty cool because he's aware that this music currently in its present state profits off of ignorance. He himself, as a practitioner of it, has already publicly stated it. So at this point, I don't think it's a matter of opinion. You can look at people like me and say, you just somebody who hating on the music. It ain't really built on ignorance. Well, here's somebody who is actually involved saying it pays to make ignorant content. And if you don't want to take my or his word for it and you listen to this stuff and you still want to deny that, then I would say that you are in denial and you need to unclog your ears and do a better job of listening to the music that you are engulfed in. But I think that what he's saying is great. I think it's cool, and I think it serves as an instance in which we can understand the importance of disassociating your culture from this content. Because ever since we were kids, we've been sold on this idea that hip hop music is black culture. And I used to believe that back when the music was more enlightened. But now that the music is far less enlightened than it used to be, and it's probably at a state of a lack of enlightenment to the lengths that we've never seen before, I can no longer accept the premise that this is my culture. I refuse to accept that because what you are doing, in essence, by copying to that belief, is admitting that your culture is synonymous with ignorance. That's what you're doing. So if you're someone who doesn't believe that your culture ought to be synonymous with ignorance, it perhaps pays or it perhaps makes sense for you to understand that this music is a fictional form of entertainment that should be consumed in moderation with a grain of salt, and you should never glean it as a part of your culture. Look at it as fictional entertainment. If you want to take certain cues from it, extrapolate certain things that worked for you, like how to be assertive, how to be confident, how to have a great work ethic, how to persevere through challenges. Extract those themes from it without believing that the music is your culture. Because when you believe that the music is your culture, what you are in essence saying is you believe that your culture is ignorance. Now, my culture isn't ignorance. Uh, the culture of my parents isn't ignorance. I don't think your culture is ignorance. My cipher, my immediate cipher, no one believes that their culture is ignorance. So that's the kind of thing that I like from the comments that he made. So that's what I think more people should pay attention to, because you have a lot of people out here, particularly black and brown people, or just disenfranchised people in general, who like what Meek Mill had to say, but at the same time still cling to this idea that hip hop is their culture. And that's a dangerous game to play. So I would say dial some of that back and understand that this is fictional entertainment and not what your culture actually is. Look to other forms of enlightenment to speak for you when it comes to what your culture is, not this music stuff.
Well, and I agree. And since Meek Mill is, so here's the thing, yeah, and he's like a bishop or a cardinal, or he's high up in the ranks in the hip hop world, in the hip hop realm, for the people who actually hold this culture up as a religion. So he ain't the Pope, right? Jay-Z's like the Pope. So
Yeah.
Jay-Z talks to God himself, apparently. Everybody, and it's just everybody else. So Meek Mill being part of the higher upper echelon in the rap game. So for him, much like in the Neo situation, for them to unmute and speak on some course of righteousness, it's noble, and we generally didn't get that in the past. And if we did, it wasn't from the names, people that actually are notable and actually carry some weight. even though Meek has been losing a lot of street cred lately due to his new lifestyle change. Now, don't get it twisted though. All right. Now, if you pull up in Philly the wrong way, he's still with his goons, right? You know, he's still with the chasers when he's not on white all white parties on yachts with men with assless chaps. So now when you're so here's the thing. If Meek is playing some, no pun intended, long ball game where he's hanging out with these billionaires and being their little show pony, literally doing bunny hops. Did you see that video? Where
I don't. I didn't watch it on purpose.
oh, okay, but yeah, he did
Yeah.
it. And bunny hopping for Mr. Rubin. If he's playing some long ball game where he's like, look, I gotta do this for the squad. It's like, all right, bro. You know what I'm saying? You're definitely taking one for the team. All right. So and so if he's got some type of righteous, noble cause at the end of the tunnel, and this is all of this billionaire rubbing elbow stuff isn't some selfish cause, he's actually doing something on the back end. Be that, so be it. But like you said, bro, if he's got one track, bro, nah, you can't even have one, dude.
Mhm.
You can't have one track where you talking about bust them up, kill. You can't do it. You know what I'm saying? I better not hear one brick bar. Man, what you gonna talk about? See, Jeezy tried that stuff before too. You know what I'm saying? And then it was falling on flat ears. People don't want to hear Jeezy talk about social issues. He tried it and nobody wanted to hear it. And so then he got right back in the kitchen and started whipping again on you fools. And then, then he's got smash hits again. So Meek, Lil Baby too. Lil Baby's changing ways too. And I saw a song he came out with recently, very positive. I didn't even hear a curse word, and it was like really inspirational for young people. So they're hanging out with this guy, but they're doing something that other rappers really didn't do. So I don't know what that's all about. It's only so much I want to get into that kind of business. But if their footprint and their work that they're coming out with is actually, hey man, he's actually helping people there, or hey man, this song is actually pretty powerful. This will help somebody that was, what I'm saying, had that gun in his hand and about to smoke an op, turn an op into a pack. Now listen to this Meek Mill song where he, talked about not doing it, and now his life has changed. So if he gets into that bag, hey man, so be it. Yeah, it pays to be ignorant because the industry wants dumb people. I mean, dumb people are consumers.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you can't think for yourself, you're gonna buy it from me.
Mhm.
So they promote the same type of garbage. So if you are actually gonna change ways, I'm pretty sure you're gonna know what's coming with that. But I'm here for that. But yeah, I don't want to hear one more gun bar. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be a hypocrite, and he'd be a hypocrite. We got to start holding people accountable for stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing about the community that worships this music so much is they don't care about accountability. So you can't hold them, like you can't depend on the hip hop community, in my opinion, the majority of it. There's a segment of it that is enlightened and not a group thinker and a conformist enough that they would point some of this stuff out. But the majority of the people who listen to this music, who truly do hold on to it for dear life as a form of their own self identity, they're not going to hold Meek accountable if he were to drop the next album with the drug and gun bars. They'll be right there listening to the drug and gun bars, and they'll be loving every second of it. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want Meek Mill to do the positivity stuff, but then they also want him to make the same music that he used to make. And it's like, look, sacrifices have to be made. If you are going to do this stuff, then that is over. It's over. So he's either going to have to figure out a different way to make music or retire from music altogether. Now, I personally, if he were to retire from music tomorrow, I would have more respect for him, because to me, that would signal him understanding the only way that I can thrive in the music space is by continuing to make that music. I can't continue to make that music because I'm out here trying to be a social activist. So therefore, I cannot continue to make that music. I have to figure out my next move, my next hustle. Maybe he gets into movies. Maybe he becomes some kind of philanthropist so that he can keep the checks and the money coming in. I've listened a lot of the music, a lot of the albums that he's put out thus far. He's talked about how other rappers and other people who are smarter than him have put him on game in terms of investments and things like that. So he seems like somebody who has other avenues for passive income and things of that nature so that he doesn't have to depend on rap money. So if he were to retire from the rap game tomorrow, I would interpret that in a respectful manner. Oh, he's getting out of this thing because he can't continue to make that kind of music if he's on this vibration. He can't. And he knows that if he stays in music, he has to continue to make that kind of music because it's the only thing he knows how to do. Like Jeezy. Trap rap is the only thing Jeezy knows how to do. He can't do anything else. So what does Jeezy have to do? I got to pivot out of this. Let me start investing in restaurants and real estate in Atlanta and do things a different kind of way because number one, I'm 40 plus. Can't be talking about trapping in the streets no more when I'm not trapping. I'm 40 plus. I'm not trapping in the streets no more. And then also, I'm trying to do all of this other stuff and promote positivity. Can't keep making more TM, thug motivations and recessions. I've seen it all, church in these streets and all the other stuff that he tried to do. So he's, by all intents and purposes, he's gotten out of that. And Meek might have to make that same strategic decision because you can't go back. And the sad part about it is if he did decide to go back, the listenership of the music wouldn't hold him to account for it because they're so brainwashed and mind controlled and conditioned. They'll just continue to, rap the next Meek street anthem while also looking at him as this social activist. And in the real world, in which accountability does exist and there's consequences for actions and behaviors, you can't do both of those things at the same time. So that might fly in the pocket universe of hip hop. It doesn't fly in the real world where there are consequences for actions. So he's going to have to come to terms with that. But in the immediacy, I appreciate the voice that he is lending to stuff like this. It reminds me of a long time ago, we did a video talking about Teddy Bridgewater because he talked about the detrimental effect of that street stuff on impressionable minds who ain't even from that life and what it's doing to these kids. And so this to me is in that similar vein. And so I champion that and I'm all for it. Like I said, I just would prefer it if he did not, continue to make music on this gangster shit with the drug and gun stuff.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think with this, he has to change everything. And we saw you on the yacht party. We saw you hanging out with billionaires. We saw you giggling with these men, and they're touching you and you're giggling. And you can't be, I'm on the block. I'm in Philly. I'm like, cheesesteaks, young bull, whatever, John. He just out there, just giving all the buzzwords of what Philly people say. And so he just, don't get it twisted. I'm still out. I'm active. He'll tell me that. Because I think it's sweet because I saw him bunny hopping on a tennis court. So it's just like, look, bro, we all saw that. So clearly, you know what I'm saying? You had to have that street mentality when you were younger to survive. Now that you have crossed over into a new way of living, which is okay, bro. You don't have to live that way your whole life. You only have to be in survival mode when you're over there. But since you've crossed over, apparently, or something, or you're in company of people who know how to get it, then you can position yourself to be somebody that can get it, And so, and at that point, you can have the type of political pull or some type of pull that, you can actually go out there and do something. So stand on that and be that man that used to be a guy who trap rap. you know, and then find a lane to make real money, and then step down and rap every once in a while, like a Jay-Z or whoever. At that point, you only have to basically only give one verse. So because these rappers who talk about garbage all day, it's rinse and repeat, and it's easy, and it's you can, you know, pack it up and ship it out. You can come out with one every year. You know, you can come out with mixtapes, 3 mixtapes a year, because you're saying the same thing in a whole bunch of different ways, and all of them are related to guns, drugs, and murder. So if you get out of that, it becomes very difficult to plug all those holes with creativity and something of substance that can actually carry somebody and make them want to hear it again. So that takes a lot of effort. So if you do want to step down and give a track every once in a while on some Andre 3000 or some whatever, it's like, hey man, Meek, he certified, he official, and he done blessed the streets with some real talk from the other side. He can play it like that. But so hopefully he finds a good way to do all of this. Hopefully he stands on this. But this whole Robin Hood thing that hood people got an infatuation of, that I can sell dope to my community, but then I can give turkeys on Thanksgiving. Like, that's got to stop.
Yeah. The Frank Lucas thing ain't gonna work no more.
Like,
you giving turkeys to the same people that you giving the poison to.
Come on, man.
You can't, man. I think it's a talent. Personally, I think it's a talent. I think the ability to make music that people want to hear without pigeonholing yourself into those niche forms of content, I think that is a legitimate skill. I truly do. I don't think that that's something that you can just figure out. You either can do it or you can't. And that's why I'll say for Meek, he might have to get out of the game, because now, Meek isn't all the way into the trenches with it like Jeezy. Meek, and some of that might be that Rick Ross influence, because you can say what you can about Ross, but at least Rick Ross has the ability to make songs that you will want to hear, and sonically it sounds good, and the way he raps over the beat, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about the cocaine all the time. He has an ability to do that. I would say 30% of all of Ross's albums are like that. So maybe that influence is what has contributed to Meek's ability to do that. Because if I'm being honest, on Meek's like solo albums, not every song is on that. He be making positivity songs, and then he got other songs where he talks about relationships, and then he'll have other songs where it's just about something. But everything ain't drug and gun stuff. So he isn't all the way on that side of it like people like Jeezy. But to me, he's still synonymous with it enough that he might find it difficult to continue to be a prolific rap artist. And so he might have to make that sacrifice and give it up. And if he does, so be it. Everybody can't be Nas. I don't know what Nas to me is like the LeBron of rap. And only from the standpoint that, I got my issues with LeBron, but I can't take anything away from the fact that the guy has been able to play for 20 years, and he can still average 25 a game. And he's been able to do it because the way his game is constructed, he can be effective in a litany of ways. Nas reminds me of that in the rap game. The dude is almost 50, and he's still able to make these albums where I like every song on the album. And he doesn't sound outdated. He ain't doing drug and gun bars every song. He just has an ability to do that. And most of these rappers cannot do that. Somebody else who has an ability to do that, we've mentioned him on this channel as well, as Fabulous. He can do that. Fabulous will drop an album tomorrow, and he's still the slickest with the bars, and he isn't talking about that street shit on every song. That's a skill that you just don't see with every artist. I don't know that Meek possesses that skill. So because he's transitioned to this phase in his life, it might be a good idea for him to consider musical retirement. Because one thing that will sort of take away from everything that he is building towards currently, in my opinion, is putting out more ignorant music. And so it would be detrimental to his cause to do that. So he might have to switch up. And, I think that he has the ability to switch it up, but you can't keep getting into the booth and talking about how you'll shoot this up or sell this dope or smash your homeboy's baby mama and all the rest of the stuff that these rappers be talking about.
This is my favorite. This is my
You
favorite.
can't do
This is my favorite when he's not gonna do it, but one of his shooters gonna do it.
Yeah.
You can't do that either.
Yeah, you can't, man. You can't. Sacrifices have to be made, period. They just got to be made. So appreciate Meek for the content, man, and keep doing what you're doing, man, because you're doing tangible things, and I can't take anything away from that. Like I said, a lot of these entertainers out here just want to give an opinion on Instagram, but really they ain't doing shit. And so he's actually a part of helping create laws that keep people out of prison, and that's a step in the right direction. So appreciate Mel for the content, man. On that note, we are going to go ahead and close out tonight's stream. This was good stuff. Thanks to everybody for tuning into this video. Thank you for everybody who has joined the Conscious Approach Tribe. Go ahead and hit that like button if you appreciate the commentary in this video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. You can find Conscious Approach on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. I am also able to be found on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. Check out Conscious Approach also on the Meta page. We upload all videos there as well. Go ahead and follow, like that page. Leave a comment wherever you see this video, man. Let us know what you think about the commentary in each of our posts. And so until next time, man, we will see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.
Yes, sir. And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon SS and Hurricane Dogon. Goddamn, go Canes. And as I say on every pod, guys, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. And as I wait, calm, keep it chill, and don't let anybody get you off your pivot. Goddamn, they tried to get me off my pivot. All right. And what was I about to say? Oh yeah, and by the way, all right, so I identify as a baller, all right, and my pronoun is Lord. So if anybody ever asks me and they say, oh, my pronoun is he, her, she, them, and I'm like, really? Mine is Lord, Your Highness. So address me as such. So until next time, guys, I'll catch y'all on the flip side.
Yes, sir. Until the next video, JVWins and Lord, Your Highness Dogon SS. We are signing off. We will see you on the next video. Peace.
Y'all dismissed.
Go Heat. Go Seminoles, baby.
Go Canes. What you talking about? Go Canes.